We couldn't get away from this week without talking a little bit about the town's response and everything going on with the new ordinance about masking. So Hilton Head Assistant Town Manager Josh Gruber is joining us. Josh, just a little bit of anecdotal evidence I have going through the weekend was that folks are wearing their masks much more since the ordinance was enacted.
Yes, sir. That's, I think, essentially what we're seeing and hearing. As you're aware, last week, Town Council put in place an ordinance that mandatorily requires that masks be worn anytime somebody is in an indoor commercial establishment. So that covers a lot of different places on the island. And so we've had staff out since that point in time kind of doing spot checks at a number of the grocery stores, pharmacies, a lot of the larger businesses, just to kind of see what we're getting in terms of response. And I would say that what we're seeing is the vast majority of people are voluntarily complying. We're not at 100% just yet. Certainly that's what we're working towards, but we're very pleased so far with the numbers that we are seeing. There's certainly much higher than what they were prior to the town passing that ordinance.
Okay, this is something obviously a lot of folks wanted to see a lot earlier on. You guys couldn't do it because of enforcement issues. Take us, if you want to, I'm not going to ask you to speak for Sheriff Tanner, but what kind of shifted the tide for Sheriff Tanner deciding, okay, we're going to help you enforce this?
You know, what I would say is the Attorney General's office coming out that Wednesday before and basically clarifying that local governments under their police powers would have the authority to pass this type of regulations certainly helped eliminate the ambiguity that was in place about whether or not we would or would not have that authority. And so once that came out, I think a lot of people looked at that a lot more seriously. And so I would say by our count, we were the fourth municipality in the state to put something in place. And so while we weren't first, we certainly weren't far from being towards to the front of the line. And we would say that we were the first in Beaufort County to get something in place as well.
There you go. From what you have been able to piece together, pretty safe and sane 4th of July?
So far, that's it. We look for citizen feedback and comments to kind of help gauge that a good bit. And so far, it's been very quiet. We had one issue last night with regards to a fire that occurred in the dunes based upon some folks setting off some fireworks. But our fire rescue folks were able to respond to that, put it out fairly quickly. And we're fairly confident that the vegetation in the dunes are going to bounce back fairly quickly from that. So if that's the only issue that we're going to wind up having to deal with, then I would say it's been a fairly successful 4th of July.
And you did see a little better social distancing on the beach, huh?
That's what we've seen and heard. You know, we understand that there was some large volume of people on the beach for a very hot 4th of July weekend. Sure. But the folks that were out there were doing a very good job of distancing themselves out from the other groups that were on the beach at the same time.
All right, stay inside and stay cool, Josh. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Josh Gruber, Hilton Head Assistant Town Manager. We also want to thank Dr. Chris Mazaway, Hannah Horn, and Brian Kynard for their insights. And as always, we thank you for taking the time to check us out on the Hilton Head News. We'll be checking you out from a distance around our island home this week.